This is a masterclass where we're really talking about rewiring our nervous system from years of patterns, things that we were given, unsaid, said, and it's going to be a night that I give you a promise and I think I deliver on it. I know I do. So with that being said, let's get moving. I want to just bring everyone into connection first. If we can just slow down, because you chose to be here for this next hour and a half. I want to just see if we can connect. We could do 3 deep breaths together. Okay. So we can center, get grounded, and all be present. And whatever you're up to tonight, I know you might be walking around, getting situated, sitting where you are. So I'm going to start with a deep inhale of 4 seconds. Hold it for 6. Release it for 7. Take another deep breath together. We're going to hold for inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 6. Exhale for 7. One more time. Inhale for 4. Hold for 6. Exhale for 7. Just notice your body after 3 deep breaths. Even my tone of voice feels different. Welcome. Welcome to being here tonight in a class together. Okay. So here's the first question I want to ask you is, are you willing to spend another year breaking your own heart to avoid being alone? Tell me in chat. Do you want to continue to break your heart? This is going to be an interactive class where your input is going to direct the course. I'm going to invite you into this room to work together. Right? Yeah, absolutely not. Thank you, Kelly. Oh, Irka. Oh, that's not how you say your name. Irka. I'm tired. I appreciate that. You're tired, right? That's what we want to avoid, is that you can have a different vision for your future than maybe the one you're either living or the one that you've known for so long. Mindy's like, hell no. Thank you, Mindy. Right. So let's check in and take a temperature. This is a very small feelings wheel. It must be even smaller on yours, but one word that describes your current feeling about your love life. About it. Right? I'm going to say for me, I'm still optimistic and anticipatory. I have a partner visiting this weekend, so I'm feeling it. Non-existent, Alyssa. Okay. Miss Jiza is sad. Mindy is disillusioned. Oh, what a word. Okay. Disillusioned. I appreciate that. I felt that. Yeah. Hurt, sad, disappointed, disillusioned. Okay. Right. One of the things that we're finding, I was just talking to Hal about this. The more successful women are in the workplace, which is what we've been about in these last 20 years since women's lib, and I'm sorry, not 20, that's 40 years. Right. The more successful we are in business or in other areas of our lives, it actually weakens our relationship. Right. We have a trend in our country that women are actually deciding not to date. They would rather not date than be in a cycle that is going to be unfulfilling, harmful to them. This is the first time we're seeing that, where women are actively sitting on the sidelines. I'll note that about my generation. I'm in my 50s. What we also know about this youngest generation is it's the time where we're seeing the most inequity between the male and the female in dating. This is just interesting trends. Women are actually getting more successful younger, and they're not settling for their counterparts. They use words like immaturity. They're not as financially established. They're still living at home. So women are getting a little bit more discerning. And then I have to sit and go, what is happening for men then? What? Right? I mean, because there's a lot of pressure on men. Be successful, keep working, right? Got to bring everything home for the family. And there's pressure on men too. They feel like they're not getting it right. not responding correctly. So I want to talk about that tonight. What are the patterns? So I could sit here and tell you what it's like to not put yourself first. Or when you finally do, why is this not happening? Why are people not choosing me? Why do I feel like I have to lose myself just to keep the peace? But I'd actually love to hear from one of you. What are you noticing? What is it that, even if you choose to date, what are you noticing about what keeps coming up for you? Is anybody willing to come off mute and come on screen? Just raise your hand, say something. Hal will bring you on. Right? Because I could tell you what I know from statistics, from being in practice for all these years, but your wisdom and what you're experiencing is unique to you. So I want you to know, everyone here, okay, we have somebody, I don't know her name, Miss Jayas. If you can unmute her, Hal, or and
No,
if I'm
she
getting
has
your
to
name wrong,
unmute herself, but
you have
I
to
can't
unmute yourself.
spotlight her unless she's on camera. There
Okay,
we go.
great.
Am I on the camera?
Yep.
Yes. How
Okay.
do you pronounce your name? And I apologize if I got it incorrect, ma'am.
It's okay. It's Jacia.
Jessia. Oh, it's a beautiful name, Jessia. What
Thank
are
you.
you noticing about your patterns or how being in relationships are for you right now?
For me right now, I'm running into a lot of insecure men
Okay.
when they see my drive and hear, the things that I've done thus far and hear my plans. It's kind of like they get weird after that. Kind of, what do you need me for?
Okay. What do you notice that happens when you say insecure man? What then starts to show up in the relationship then if you're having success and drive? Where do they go?
Um,
Where do they end up?
So my current, I don't know what it is, it's
Okay.
ending because it's just like I think he's just intimidated and doesn't know how to respond. He's like, well, I don't know how to, to do this, or what if I'm not strong enough here or there, and it's just like, though,
Mhm.
like one thing has nothing to do with the other. My success doesn't have to do with anything to do with how I pick a partner. I don't care how. I mean, he
Mm.
has to be ambitious, but I don't expect. You know what I mean? Like I don't expect him to live up to my standard for me. I do have a standard for a partner, but it's not the same as my standard for me.
Yeah. So I just want to check in that I'm hearing you say, right, like him not knowing to do it doesn't mean there's not a way to do it.
Right.
It's, is he willing to get uncomfortable? And are you willing to get uncomfortable to say, right, you both have been shaped by how you think you're supposed to show up, and you certainly have the drive. And right, if he wants to keep doing it the same way, he's going to keep getting the same results. And that includes maybe losing you.
That's where I'm at. I think that's
Oh,
where we're at
yeah. I
because
thank
it's
you, Jasia.
it's exhausting.
Yeah, exhausting. Then you also don't get to be seen as the successful, motivated woman that you want to be if that is creating an experience in our partners.
Right.
Right? How do we support each other? I call it the win-win. Right. And I'm hearing there's that imbalance. So thank you for giving us a real life example, because I'm hearing you saying, I also don't want to shrink my motivation to meet
Right.
him.
Right. No.
Thank you. Okay. I
Thank
hope that
you.
you'll come back on screen later.
Okay.
Alyssa, really quickly, love to hear how it's showing up in your pattern right now, either in a relationship or with yourself.
Hi. For me, I think it's different because even though I've gone to school and have done things.
We lost we lost connection with Alyssa.
Yeah, she's frozen.
Okay. Well, hopefully we can bring her back later then. I'm gonna keep moving. But Mindy did say she finds most men she's dated and had a relationship try to change or control the very things that attracted them to me in the first place. That is a pattern. Thank you, Mindy, for sharing that. Right. There's often the idea of, oh my God, I love that quirky thing about you and how you make sounds when you eat. And then later it's like, freak, man, I can't stand that about you. Can't you be quiet, or can't you, right? That is something way deeper, but that's often what we do see happens, right? Some people say that's like a bait and switch. No, it's really that whole thing, Alyssa. Yeah, we'll definitely come back to you later. You froze a bit. So right, just noticing how do we show up and what shifts in a relationship pattern. That's where we're going to go tonight. And so men don't see the value in her. I do want to ask everyone to take a poll on their phone right now. Question 1 will come from Hal. What do you see as the pattern in love for you right now? Right? Do I silence my needs to keep the peace? Do I overfunction and resent it later? Do I attract emotionally unavailable partners? I fear being too much if I speak up. Maybe I don't even actually know what I need in love right now. Right? Just notice. None of these are truths. It's what it feels like, what the experience that shows up the most. Thank you, everyone. Kelly picked them all. Right? I want you to see the results. Everyone's got a little bit of everything. Kelly, you picked them all, so you got a little of everything. Right? These are a pattern. These are survival skills that come back, right? The over functioning. I have to perform for love. That's what we're going to be talking about. That is the target place tonight. And then I have a promise about this very thing. Okay. Why does this happen? Why do I have this worry about these things? Because we are wired for connection. I've said this before. There's 2 things that we're wired for in our brain. We are wired for connection because we are social beings, but we are also wired for protection. Our body, unknowing to us, has a lot of indicators about whether they're sensing a threat. That has nothing to do with us. We can, once we recognize it, we can do something, but right, it's like an alarm system. It's like a smoke alarm. You may not smell the fire, but if your house is picking up on it, it's going to go off. Where do we get that from? I'm going to use myself for an example. I am often called the good girl, the mountain in my family. I knew I needed to perform a certain way. Now, as a kid, I didn't get that. I didn't get that I had to achieve and be this mature 7-year-old going on 30. But I learned that achievement, that doing the right thing would get me something. So my parents, right? Just think about the hot stove when we go, don't touch the hot stove. Those are moments of teaching that our kid doesn't put their hand on the stove. But it was also a moment of teaching when I got, oh, good girl. That we're so proud of you when you do the right thing. We're so proud of you when you're so mature. We're so proud of you that you're level-headed. I got a lot of indication. I got a lot of pats on my back, which taught me I needed to do that to be in a relationship, to be loved, right? We have traumas in our family stories. I love that. Someone's like over here, I'm ready to shine and stop shrinking. Good for you, right? That's what we want to do is, right? Because our childhood traumas have alarms in us. That's the protection. That's what we're looking for, right? But that means that we are playing small. We're not trusting connections and intimacy. We're overgiving. Society has taught us that. It's not intentional. It's anything to keep the connection alive. And that's what we're going to really be exploring tonight. Because I want everyone here to own their desires and needs and wants. All of them. Right? That's what it's about. Okay. I want to say this. I'm not going to get into biology, but I want to say it is not your fault. The wiring for connection and protection, that part of us is already here. So the protection part is the little thing we call the vagal nerve. It's right here in our brainstem. The amygdala is right around there. When we're under stress, when we sense threat, that thing starts moving really fast. Once that happens, I am no longer in my logic brain. I am no longer in my frontal cortex, which is reason, logic. It makes sense. We're in our limbic system. We are in our emotions. We're reactive. The signals are going off. Red, code red. That is why we continue to play small and we stay in these patterns, because they're safe, they're predictable, they're familiar. But it's not your fault. It is so not your fault, because we've all been told lies. We've all been told lies. It wasn't intentional that our parents were trying to teach us good girlness. It's what they were taught. That's not going to work in an intimate relationship. So I want to ask you, are you willing to start unlearning? Because that's what this is about. To rewire that brain for love that can feel secure. I didn't say familiar. It's going to feel unfamiliar. But to wire ourselves to a new experience, that means we have to unlearn some things and maybe learn some new skills, right? I call it regulation. So just want you to just check in with yourself. Like, great. Were you taught the lie that if you just meet the right person, you'll be happy? If you just dress a certain way and look sexy, you'll attract the right one. If you make the right amount of money, you'll get it all. You'll get the car, the house, the wife, and the 2.5 children. I know my father told me he bought that. He just didn't have the 0.5, and we didn't get the dog either, by the way. But he got the 2 kids, he got the white picket fence, the house, and he was not happy. That's part of the lie, right? If you just, like, if you're with your partner, they should just know what you need. You should be able to know after all this time. That, I'm going to tell you, is a lie. Or social media is all about right now. If you're chosen, you're the one. Really? I don't know about that. Chosen doesn't necessarily mean safety. Chosen means there was an attraction somebody acted on, but we're heightened. Everyone's like, I want to be chosen by somebody. Okay. All right. These lies will not create a long lasting intimate relationship. I sense most of you on this call already know that. I will tell you, I know that, and I'm still rewiring some of these patterns all the times that I've known, right? So what's the truth? What keeps us on this hamster wheel, right? Part of it is we don't want to, we don't want a power struggle. We don't want to have anything that's self-abandoning. But what I've come to understand as an executive coach, as a psychotherapist, is most successful men and women in business are not successful in relationships. That was a mind blow for me, right? People can run $1 million companies, have all these big teams, be successful, be college grads, have titles, but they weren't successful in their relationships, because this is bigger than chemistry, right? This is more than, you know, I want to experience secure love, but from an unsafe person. It doesn't happen. We have to have our own sense of safety so that we can create a secure relationship. Can't get safety from an unsafe person. We can't get security from an unsafe person. And that includes us. If we're not safe, we're not going to experience it. It's not about the other person. Where are we, right? We get to heal the wounds. We get to continue to choose ourselves time and time again, right? But the lies will keep us on this, right? I don't want to give up so much of myself, or if I have to perform for love, okay, I can do that for a while. Most women who perform ultimately end up resenting it, right? People pleasing is a new title, but that thing has been around for a lot longer, right? We have Vera saying, yes, Jess, this will be sent on a replay tomorrow, but right, I want love. I don't want familiarity. That means we have to prepare our nervous system for something different. And that is really one of the reasons that I've created my method that I work with people with. And my method is called B.E.S.T, and it didn't come out that way. It wasn't intentional, but right, I'm a believer that we get to be the person we seek. Right. So if I want someone who's expressive, successful, it doesn't mean I have to be that level of success, but I'm not sitting home, right, rubbing 2 nickels together, hoping to make $1 million and go, yeah, I just want someone who's rich. I want someone else who's really caring, but I'm not going to be caring. We get to be who we want to experience. What ways of being am I showing up? Am I vulnerable? Am I open? Am I courageous? Am I curious? That's one. The other is, can I express myself? Can I express myself in a way that I get seen, I get heard without fear, right? Can I find safety and connection in my body and the connections I create? And I want to trust, but I don't want to lose my power. It's a really big piece for women because we have a pattern that often we're bracing for things. So, right, we want to have a way to, how do I get out of this? Like, can we imagine what it would be like to say what we need to say with no apology, with no explanation, with no saying, I'm sorry, right? Right. So that's what this whole class is going to be about, right? It isn't about finding the one, it's about how you're wired. When you rewire, we are more apt to find somebody who can meet us in that area. So I want to ask you all, let's just take a moment, if you want to put it in the chat or if you have a journal, let's write down one rule you've internalized about love. One rule. I'm going to use mine, right? I learned to be a good girl was what it meant to be a woman in our society. That my needs would come second, that I would sense somebody else's needs. That's a rule I had. What I now have come to understand is when I know my self-worth, I attract a different kind of love. So what's one rule you have about love? If anyone wants to put it here in the chat, I'd love to hear it. Right? I can tell you it takes time to create ourselves. So come here. Most of us, again, the lie is if I only find that person out there, then I'll be happiness. That means I put my happiness in someone else's hands. Hey, I always had to be perfect woman to attract a man. It's pressure. That's pressure for the man. That's pressure for the woman. That's a lot of pressure for you. There's not enough space for both of our big emotions. Thank you, Shanti. Love is compromising. Ooh, right? I'm not a parent. I'm an aunt. I couldn't have children, but I wouldn't want any of my nieces or nephews to have those beliefs about love. No, right? I hope that I can break some generational things, right? And I'm sure that's why you're here too. Is like, I want this differently, right? When we do the work, I know that's a phrase we hear on social media a lot, do the work. It's a great book, by the way, Do the Work by Dr. Nicole LaPera. She's also known as the holistic psychologist. But we know when we commit to our own healing, our own rewiring, we have statistics on this that actually there are improved relationships, the communication, the emotional fulfillment. So I want you to know that when we're witnessed in a community and in a group, we know that people actually get results if you choose yourself. I mean, can you imagine having better self-confidence or more sense of safety and security so you would attract that? That comes from being willing to say, I've got to change it because the way I've got it or the way I was taught is going to get me that result. And I don't know about you, I know that result. And I know you know that result. That's why you're here. So by the end of this class, we will identify an attachment style that drives your pattern. We'll understand how your nervous system is shaping love and safety for you. And I will go into my best model where you get to experience it. That is what I commit to. So I'm going to ask you where your level of readiness is. Hal, if you could bring up another poll for us, I'd appreciate that. Okay. So what has stopped you from repeating relationship patterns and start rewiring? I'm not sure if I'm ready. Some people may not be ready. Some are curious, some are scared. Hey, because what we're talking about will be new. Yes, I love what you just said. It's like I attract the same person in a different body. We will talk about that because you are. Let's be honest. I know I am. Oh my gosh. My family had to do an intervention with me about that. Right. So I love that we have 6 people who are like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to do something different. It's my time. Right. We have some curiosity and something scared. Because anytime we're going to make a change, our system starts to read that. And it could be a fear-based reaction because I don't know, Claudine, I don't know what you're talking about enough. I know this, I don't know that. That's how we start to lean in and do the work together is, yeah, are we ready to have a new experience? right? This is my promise. I, by the end of this, will show you how to rewire your nervous system so you stop repeating a pattern of heartbreak. At least one. That's my commitment to you for your time tonight. I think that's important. I just want to really quickly introduce who I am. My name is Claudine Chiarmonte. I've been a psychotherapist 31 years. I've been a relationship coach through the Coaching Federation for the last 9 years. I tell you, I'm also a breath worker, which is very new to my description of myself, but I do help people revolutionize their relationship with themselves so they can transform their love lives. That's what I'm about in both my coaching and in my psychotherapy practice. I come from a different approach in both of them because I am a trauma therapist. So there's times we do need to address the trauma so that we can move through. But I will tell you, I am a healed avoidant attachment person. It is still my default under stress. I love to say I am a people pleaser in recovery. Again, when I'm under stress, I see my default going up, but I have worked hard and committed to attracting something new because I needed safety here. I could no longer farm out my safety to my partners. And that was my pattern. I don't need to be safe. You just need to be safe. And guess what? I always pick non-safe partners. So I did. Right? To give you a sense of who I was, you're going to see this in the next slide. When I show this, I can feel my emotionality. This is my pain. Yes, it's in the form of weight. But this was the years of people pleasing, the self-denying, the lack of expressing my needs. I just kept it down with food. At my height of my weight, I was 380. But that is not what this transformation has been about. You can see me as a different size, but that represents my evolution. And that car crash was a wake-up call 10 years ago, where I didn't walk for 9 months. Everything changed after that. That was the moment I said, "Ooh, I want to live, but I don't want to live the way I'm living," right? And that was the shift for me. Yes, it's graphic in terms of a picture, but I'm sharing it so that you know that I understand leaving what was to be who we are meant to be is a deliberate choice. Always. Yes, it's graphic on the outside of me, but you don't know what is on the inside, right? To carry my own sense of safety, to carry my own sense of worth now, that pictures of me was me very lost because I always was looking for my family to tell me I was a woman of value, but they didn't have it for themselves. So I kept waiting. I kept waiting. I kept waiting for that validation from my partners then. Can't you validate me? Aren't I special to you? Like I kept seeking that. And right, my injury is I would leave because I couldn't get it from them. It wasn't meant to. I was never meant to, nor are you. These are some of the things we get to give ourselves and get witnessed by others. Right. So if I can make one change, my difference would be to say, if I could help people through a few months of what I've learned over years, that's what I look. That's what this is about for me. Let me help you untangle a little bit. Right. Yes, I could show you these results. I've been doing this for 30 years. I do keep surveys about what occurs for my clients, that they do come from heartbreak to a new relationship, or they start to choose differently. It isn't like this, a straight line. Anybody who's been doing healing work knows it's this. We revisit our trigger over and over again, but the reactivity gets smaller, the injury gets smaller, right? So it's not that someone went from working with me to picking their ideal partner, but they recognized their patterns quicker. They chose unfamiliar and trusted that. They found people who were more aligned with who they are as a person and their values. Someone who would champion them not to lose themselves just for a relationship, right? What I often will tell you is I don't have the time, Claude. I don't have the time for this, right? I've spent so much time surviving energy, right? Or I tried this. I've tried, I've tried the books before. I've tried therapy before. Yeah, right? This is also a time to try something new, be held. Maybe I'm the person for you. Maybe I'm not. And that's okay. I have many clients who go, I'm not built for love. I'm not dating anymore. Right? That's trauma speaking. We're all wired for connection. Our pain and our injury and trauma would say, you know, something not worth the pain. And I honor that. A lot of people right now, I don't have the money for this. Right? This is unprecedented times we're in, right? But I will say we are using energy, money, and time either way, whether we do this work or not. So can we have a vision of ourselves being in a relationship where we're not compromising? If we have a vision of ourselves in a relationship where I'm not mind reading and they're not mind reading, I could share what I want to say without any regrets, without any regrets. Before we get into some interaction, this is a client of mine. Jade is a career coach. Powerful damn woman, right? This is a woman who has trauma that taught her she had to earn love. She was traumatized by her mother, actually had no contact after 14. She elected that voluntarily and has not had contact, right? Because her mom and the trauma were so intense. When she faced conflict, she just shut down. She didn't want rejection again. So that's what she did. So guess what she kept picking though? Unsafe, unavailable partners that replicated her mother in some ways. That was just pain on top of pain. It was like she was re-traumatizing herself and she was desperate to get out of that cycle. There was a way we needed to work with her around her own boundaries, around her ability to select, but particularly owning two things, her self-worth and how to regulate. And so you understand what I mean by this is we get emotional, we get unsettled, we get triggered, we get activated. There's all these words. Again, remember I said that means that our amygdala has hijacked us. If we don't calm ourselves or find some safety and calm, I'm just going to be doing this in my relationship. So we're just going to be two big energy balls arguing at each other. No one wins. One loses, we both lose. So right, for her, we needed to create that calm safety inside her. She needed to self-regulate more, right? Breath work, working out, taking walks, deep breathing, visualizations, so that she could start to claim her voice again. I just want to share her. She's the one, right? But that's why you're here. You're ready to take some actions. I've said some of this. I don't want to spend a lot of time here, but why do we do this? You are not broken. Our patterns protect parts of us. I'm going to say that again. Your patterns have protected parts of you. What do I mean by that? If I created a pattern when I was 7, which I did around people pleasing, it's because that is the time of every chaos in my family's life. My parents got divorced. My mother remarried to a family of 9. That is pure chaos to a kid. So that little kid in me didn't know how to cope with it. So right, I found a way of being loved in this new large family of 11 people. I only had to deal with 3 before, but it protected my inner child. So I never judged my patterns. They were my survival. Being a people pleaser has served me, right? But when I keep repeating them, they become familiar, and that's what I use to keep myself safe. That's not going to work. So, right, this is all based on early life experiences. That's really what we're talking about changing. Our brain gets wired. That's how I learned to cope. That's how you've learned to cope. Love is compromising. I had to be shiny. And I are talking about doing it this way now. Oh, wait. It's based on my self-worth. It's based on owning I deserve this. It's based on my expression and safety. That's not this. We're going to make a new turn. That's a new wiring. I hope I got everyone here, right? So I want to just check, where are you in your own commitment? Are you in? Like, is there a part of you that's like, I'm in this? Claudine, I got it. A new pathway. I love it. I'm in. I love it. Thank you. Anyone else in? I still got you here right now that you're like, yeah, I see where you're going with this. I got you. Great. Thank you. Again, no judgment. Our patterns have protected our parts. All that to say, let's get into the best method. This is where I came up with it. Really, this was about people coming to me and going, I feel lonely, but they wanted to be the beloved of somebody. right? But loneliness is so part of like a childhood thing. It's like, do I fit in? Do I belong? Where's there space for me? And we're in belovedship. There's enough space for everybody. I think somebody wrote before, there's not enough space for our big emotions, but in a balanced relationship, there is, right? It's the same with the repressed to express, this idea that somehow I've got to hold my truth or be silenced to be in relationship, to not be labeled as too much, too sensitive, too emotional, too needy. Oh, I want to hear what my beloved has to say. And I will not be in a relationship that does not have space for this voice. I've only gotten it back in the last few years of my life. I will not compromise that again. Right? Anxious to secure. I could replace this with avoidant or anxious or disorganized, but our attachment style, the idea that there's something, right, that I have to get to get to secure love. Now, secure love, we're all there already. We're all on a continuum of secure love, right? This isn't about perfection. This isn't about no arguments. It's not about no mess. But I want to know that we have the tools to show up for each other in a way that is going to create, you know, regulation, the tolerance, boundaries, that we could be here together. That's what I want to know. I could be heard, listened, and chosen. I could be seen. That's secure love. Other is triggered to trusting, because when I'm triggered, right? Remember what we said, if I'm activated, triggered, or dysregulated, something is wrong here. Something has gone awry. There's fear. Triggered. We want to go back to trust and safety. We want to go back to relying on myself. Doesn't mean it just means that we're staying open. We have choices. I say this often to people. We go into relationship knowing we will be hurt, but I trust I have the tools to repair. Perfect relationships don't exist. It's not part of it. But I have the tools to work our way back to trust. And that's what I want for you. So again, another poll really quickly before we do some activities around this is, what word feels the hardest, the least accessible to you right now? Belovedship, being expressed, feeling secure, or trusting? Hal, I'd ask you if you could put up that poll. This feels like, I don't know about that model. I don't know if I feel like I can trust expressing without fear, or that I'm worthy of love, or that I can feel secured emotionally and safe in my relation, trusting others. Okay, a lot of people going with the fear, expressing the truth, all the above. I'm going to go with Mindy. Did you go with all the above? Somebody I know earlier went with, right? So notice these results. But people want everything, but right, what they feel the least accessible is expressing our truth without fear. That's going to be real important for you then to also know, what am I looking for? Can I speak? It was you, Mindy. Okay. Right. Can I speak? Can I trust what I have to say? Can I listen and be patient with myself? Right. Then when I can, I'm going to find that in someone else. It's going to be more familiar to me. But if I am harsh, if I'm judgmental to myself, if I'm impatient like with myself, why haven't you done this sooner? Those things are going to show up in our relationships. We're going to pick people who mirror that for us. So let's do an activity. Right. Let's do the mirror of belonging. So I'm just going to ask everybody for a moment. Ooh, put one hand on your heart. It's an opportunity for you to just put the other hand on your belly if you like. If you want, you can close your eyes. Just going to take a deep breath. I'm going to have you say to yourself silently, I don't have to earn love. I'm worthy of being received just as I am. worthy of being received just as I am. What does it feel like to belong to yourself right now? Because that's what you just did. The moment we acknowledge our standard to ourselves, we belong here. Anybody want to share? Anyone want to come off camera? I'm sorry, come on camera and share. What does it feel like in our bodies to say, I'm worthy of being received just as I am? Hal wrote peace. Thank you, Hal. Yeah. My system, I would use a similar word. I got calm. Anyone raising your hand? Anyone want to come off? Okay. If you do, again, happy to work with any of you this evening. Want to come off, come on screen. Unburdened. Oh, that's a good word, Shanti. Unburdened, right? If we keep these thoughts, I have to earn love. I've got to perform for love. I have to be something. I have to show up a certain way just to be loved. Then we are going to stay lonely. Why you start to picture a life where that is not the conditions. We don't need to perform for love. It is because you are. Period. Period. Right? Exactly. Right. I love this quote by Rumi. To find the beloved, you must become the beloved. It's actually on my website, something like that. Right? Because I really do believe we get to embody. I don't mean the person. I mean the attributes, the ways of being, how I want I get to also show up. Not identical. That's the invitation here. That is definitely the invitation here. Okay. I'm going to do another activity. If you have a journal, if you have a piece of paper, great. If you don't, we can do this in your mind's eye. I'm going to ask everybody, I'll do it too, to write a sentence that you never dared to say out loud. Something that you've always wanted to say, but you never dare take that risk to say in a relationship. Just think about it for a moment. If that doesn't come to mind, you can also write down something like a truth that you were afraid to say out loud in your current or past relationship. Ooh, Shanti said, I need reassurance. So you haven't said that, Shanti. Something has held you back, like a need. It's a good need. Kelly's saying, I just need more. Because the moment we do this, and let me just say, I'm going to do it on screen just for a moment. I would really want to encourage everyone, and I'm going to use you for a second, Shanti, right? I know you can't see me. I'm going to do this for a moment just so you get to see me, right? My power position is my hands. I go into Wonder Woman pose, people who know me, right? I would encourage you to practice that very line. I need reassurance. I need reassurance. I need reassurance. I need you to be softer and slow it down for me. That's mine. I need you to stay present with me through this. Right? Standing sometimes grounds us to the ground more. Ooh, Hal's. Thank you, Hal, for putting that in there. Hal's was, I don't know if I can love myself. Authentic, vulnerable, right? It is when we have the courage to say these things that we loosen everything up. We break the pattern of repression to expression. Do you imagine how you would be received? Now, I happen to know how. We're both breath workers together. I can imagine his beloved. I make up she would stop if he said that, and she would be right here with him. Right here. Let me be with you until you can love yourself all again. That's what we're looking for. Not that your need for reassurance, your need or your inability to say, if you can love yourself. I'm going to be judged for it. I'm going to be held. I'm going to be witnessed. That's the changing of the pattern. We do that for ourselves first. That's why I had you do it silently, but you took a lot of courage to put them here. So I thank you. Mindy just wrote, can you just listen to me without giving me feedback? Oh, Mindy, I want to tell you one of the things that I work with a lot of my clients and my couples, particularly also, is let's agree. Most people don't want fixing and feedback. They want to be listened to. They want to be witnessed. Just want someone to stay present. I can request later, hey, do you have any ideas how I can address that? But when I'm first sharing, it's a ground rule. It's almost like a boundary, right? Don't go to fixing, problem solving, or feedback. I'm coming to you because I want to be heard. I want to be seen. Thank you, Mindy. That's a great one. That's a great one. Okay. Dawn, I love Dawn. Love Dawn. I've known her for many, many years. I was her coach for several years. And recently she was one of my breathwork clients. Through our schooling, we actually get to have practice clients. And when I met Dawn, she was the CFO of a child welfare agency, and she had walls of certifications. I can remember having a session with her and be like, oh my God. When I tell you large wall, 6 across 8, one point we counted, there was over 52 achievements, degrees, certifications, acknowledgments. It was like, what are we doing here? And Dawn's like, and I still have no sense of my own worth, to the point that this successful, powerful, beautiful woman paid for every one of her bills for her and her husband. He has the most successful GC company at the time on Long Island where they lived. And she paid for everything. Superstorm Sandy came, she paid to have the house lifted, for them to live off the land, because she did not believe she was worthy enough for him to stay and say, I do, unless she did that. That wasn't a condition of their marriage. She created that story and he played right into it. So this idea of attracting emotionally unavailable partners, the anxiety, the breadcrumbing, he'd bring her home something, but it wasn't what she asked. Right there, he was like, I asked you to get dinner at that restaurant. I ordered it, and he'd go somewhere else, and that food was sitting. Those little confusing moments for her. Is it me? Is it me? And he would say, yes, it's you. It's like, really? Right? She had to really get clear because she was so confused by their dynamic. She didn't trust her own voice, her own intuition any longer. And that was where she started to own her power and her self-worth. She started to create conditions, and he did not like it. I will tell you, ultimately, she did leave her partner, her husband. She lives a very quiet life now in North Carolina. And I think he bought the home from her out in Long Island. But the conditions, when she owned her worth, she couldn't create a price tag on it. And that's what she was doing. She was doing that. She was giving herself away. She's very happily dating her landscaper. And I will tell you, it's just thrilling to see her in a little kids pool on a weekend with a really big grown guy, and they're having a damn good time when she sends me pictures. I love her, and I thank her for how she's trusted me in her journey and allowed me also to bring her through my breathwork journey recently. I want to do an activity on anxious to secure. Okay. So I'm going to invite everyone to put their feet on the floor. I can't tell. Oh, we got some people in cars. Okay. And there's a lot of you, I can't even see your faces tonight. So I don't know where you are. So do this only if you're safe. Hi, Mindy. Right. Do this only if you're safe. But I want you to ground for a moment. I like to put my hands on my thighs, and kind of reassures. Again, I want to have us all inhale for 4, Hold it for 4. Exhale for 6. Feel your back being supported. Feel your thighs on the chair or seat wherever you are. Feel the earth holding you. You are rooted. You are grounded. Just scan your body. Is there any place that could be more relaxed or open in this moment? Right. There is, breathe into that place. I want you to repeat an affirmation. If I'm going to say it to yourself. I am safe in my body. I can stay with myself. I am safe in my body. I could stay with myself. I am safe in my body. I can stay with myself. This is the start of security and safety within ourselves. When we work together, could you imagine carrying a sense of safety? I work with men and women who go, I don't know, where's safety, Claudine? I know where my safety is. I know when I say yes and I feel safe, these shoulders go out because I'm safe in my body. When I am not, when I say yes and I really mean a no, or I'm not feeling safe, I do this. I don't even do it intentionally. My shoulders come in, right? But security begins the moment you choose not to abandon yourself. Yeah. Just for a moment, just want you to sense, is there safety alive in your body? If there is, does it have a color? Does it have a shape? Does it have a sensation? Does it have a location? Notice it. Again, the moment we have safety, we are rewiring. We're going to a secure experience versus our default. Like my default is avoidant. Under stress, it's active for me to move into secure and safety. I want to take a comment from Lindsay, who we have not heard from tonight. Having hard conversations with partners, it's hard for me not to freeze up to the point I can't even think. Taking a break, a little break to ground is a game changer. Oh my God, yes. We haven't even talked about trauma responses. Very much so, right? I'm going to make up a freeze response. That is an injury of self-worth, right? I'll use example. If everyone knows what I mean by fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. There are trauma responses. My default would be freeze. My secondary is fight, which is a wound of rejection, right? That is from my father. It's out of my life very young in our family's history, right? Self-worth is a wound for my mother's family and her generational shame, right? So you're right, Lindsay. When we're freezing, or fighting, or fawning, which is people pleasing, ever our trauma response is the moment we take a break, the game changers, because you actually interrupted your pattern. Yay, Lindsay. Exactly. Because otherwise you freeze and shut down and you pretty much know the results of this. It's not a very satisfying conversation for anybody. And most of us get tighter and tighter in our freeze, more shut down, like the turtle. So the moment you take a break, right, you change your pattern. Good for you. Good for you to even have that insight and to use that skill in some form. I brought this up because, right, we were talking about anxious and secure in the last one, or avoidant. I would encourage everyone to know your attachment style. It is not a life sentence. It's talked about in social media all the time. But the attachment style comes truly from how we have our relationship with our caregivers. Sometimes it's our parents, not for everybody, right? That sets the tone on how we can expect our needs to be met and how trust to be created. It's the attunement between caregiver and child. Infants are completely, think about it, kids are completely dependent on us. If we're inconsistent, oh, I get there, right? It's going to create anxiety in adults. I'm like, is my needs going to be it? When? I don't know when. It keeps us on the edge of our seat, right? We often hear this called the pursuer, right? They go after somebody. These are the people who are often called too much. You're the nag, because they're looking for reassurance just as much as me as the avoidant. I had very emotionally unavailable parents. So I didn't know where to go with my needs. So that was what I kept doing. I kept farming out safety to partners. I kept farming out validation because I couldn't turn to my parents and say, I'm in need or I'm in distress. They were so caught up in the pain of their separation and divorce. They weren't available to me, right? That's what created my avoidance. So for me, I get overwhelmed. I would check out. Like, where's the door? The avoidant is the one who's the distancer. They're the ones who are often being chased by the anxious. They have one foot in the door and one foot out, like in the relationship, one foot out the door. I'm here. They're a little bit more ambivalent, evasive, commitment, fearful, but underneath it, they're not. They crave intimacy. They desire connection. Disorganized is a little of both anxious and avoidant. And there was probably more opportunities for unsafety, some form of trauma. I want to encourage you. This is a free quiz. Hal, put that link in there. You know, go take your quiz for free. But understand, we all have a mother wound and a father wound. Our fathers are how we work and interact with the world outside of us, right? That is where we have vision and action and the idea of protection, providership. That's where I'm going to look out there. And so, right, that often can create, like, a wounds of hyper independence, mistrust of support, or difficulty receiving love if we have that father wound. Mother wounds really are also about our own emotional regulation and our internal safety. So that may look like wounds of perfectionism, people pleasing, shrinking to be accepted. Again, the conditional love. That's where some of these patterns come from. Anybody here want to share any of their patterns? Like, I've been speaking into them again, just like in the beginning. Your patterns the best. So if anyone like to talk about their pattern, right here, do any work around one, I'm more than happy to have you go on screen and let's talk about it. Again, they're not to be judged and shamed. Our patterns were protecting parts of us, right? We honor them as a survival skill that we're saying, I don't need it anymore. I don't need it anymore. Even if I keep recreating the same relationship, right? It's because I'm basing them on my old wounds. I get to heal those wounds so I can pick differently. So again, anyone wants to come on, please let me know. One of the things I want to encourage about our traumas or our triggers is going curious, right? Often what we notice is people tend to be more judgmental of ourselves. If we get messy, if we make a mistake, if we get reactive, we judge that section of ourselves. I have a lot of people who come in and they're harsh. That 380-pound part of me, just want to share, one of my wake-up calls was the accident, but the other was a colleague saying to me, what's going on? And I said, you know what I realized? I'm a child welfare professional. If I ever had a parent talk to one of their kids the way I was talking to me, I would want to take that child away. And I don't believe in separating parents and children, by the way. We do it from harm and safety and risk issues. That's how brutal I was on myself. I couldn't get curious. I was just more into the beating of myself. Imagine being free of that. God, that becomes a pattern. So I want to just encourage you for a moment. Think about the last time you were triggered. If trigger doesn't work for you, use the word activated, upset. Close your eyes and relive that. Relive that moment of a trigger. Does anyone want to share that with us? Anybody willing to do this work on screen? Want to raise your hand? Come on the screen with us. Shanti, Beverly, Lindsay, Kelly, Mindy. Oh, Christine, I forgot you're here. Renee. Oh, I love some of these names. I have a sister named Beverly and a sister named Renee. How cool is that? I love seeing that. They're in Greece right now together. Clearly, they're my older sisters and they're step siblings, but I don't see them that way. So if anyone wants to come on, just raise your hand or put something in the chat and Hal will activate you on. So when you think of this last time you were triggered, I know mine was yesterday. I want you to ask yourself, what was I trying to protect in that moment? What was my trigger trying to protect in that moment? You may be going, what? Yeah. I want to speak to that part and say thank you. So yesterday I got triggered by one of my business partners. I own a retreat center. And I made too much noise during our Kundalini yoga. And I got reprimanded for it. And I got pissed. I didn't get pissed outwardly. I felt it inside. Oh, I love that, Shanti. Thank you. Right. I recognize my perfectionism. Like, I got it wrong. I'm the good girl. That old part of me felt constricted by her assessment of me. She wasn't ripping me apart. She just said, babe, could you be quieter? It was a really gentle text, but it pissed me. I could feel my back going up. I have a right to be in my kitchen having food at 8 o'clock at night. This yoga class is going over. I made all that up. So my trauma, my trigger was trying to protect this old role of mine. Thank you. I don't need that anymore. But thank you. Thank you for showing up and illuminating something for me. So I went this way and this way really quickly in that moment. The moment we acknowledge with curiosity what I was trying to protect and thanking it, I just rewired. I'm no longer caught in the trigger loop. Right? Shanti shared, my trigger was trying to protect my image. That's real and vulnerable. Thank you, Shanti. Again, you want to share more about it? Feel free to come on camera. Right? Yeah. Mindy is saying the need to be heard and not judged. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Get curious. The next time you're triggered, even if it's right after this phone call and someone says something to you like, what is that? It tends to be an old pattern, an old response. We don't really need that. I don't need to be perfect any longer. I need to get it right. It's okay. It's okay. Right? That's what I want you to know. My last client I want to show. Oh, no, I have one more after this. Alex. Alex is a great guy. Actually, my nephew and Alex own a company together. Alex is a multifamily investment guy. I don't even know, is a real estate investor, I guess. I have several real estate investments with him. He owns multifamilies around the country and storage units. Course in Miracles guy, very successful. I met him when he owned a restaurant and a home in Newark, New Jersey, and he was not happy with his life. He was living very basic in one room of that house. He didn't know how to trust his ideas, but he had these great ideas. I want to invest. I want to keep taking money and buying the next property, but he couldn't deal with the idea of rejection. His father had lost all their money in China. He was his family's only hope here in America. And the risk of taking any chances kept him like this. We're like, yeah, but you took the risk of buying a restaurant. Like, that is not a secure field. Yeah, it was right across the street from Rutgers University. So, right, he really struggled with that. He struggled for getting his needs met. It's a guy who's been living in America since 15 on his own. His family literally sent him from China with last money they had. They didn't know the school systems. They didn't understand any of that. Right. For me and him, the work was really trusting his big ideas. Right. This man now has a national program on the Course in Miracles twice a week. He has a portfolio. He's only 30, I believe he's 34. It's a portfolio of over $40 million at this point in his life. He owns multiple companies. Him and my nephew own two of them together. He believes in transformational work. He's a coach. Right. What he was also was a lone wolf. It was very hard to be in relationship with him because his whole thing was, I came here alone. I don't know who I can trust. My family lost everything. So him to be in relationship was, can I trust you? Will you meet my needs? Are you here to serve me? He didn't know the skills of how to be in relationship with another person. He was always uber independent. So for him to learn interdependence, that you don't lose when you allow someone to merge with you, you actually gain a system, right? He's now married to a woman named Love. This is so interesting, right? He's allowing himself to explore his erotic life. He denied his sexual needs for a long time because there was no time for that. He needed to work and make money for his family. He didn't know how to express his emotional needs. He didn't know how to ask for support, basic support. Babe, I'm scared. I'm buying, like, when he buys these investments, he's got to go find 8, 9, $15 million from people that have to trust him on his reputation. I can't imagine the enrollment conversations this guy has. He's able to do that with ease right now. I will tell you, it's taken him a while, but I have to say, like I said, I have 4 investments with him now. But that's the work. Can I trust the unknown? Can I trust myself enough? Can I trust another enough? But right, it starts here. And Alex has done that work. And I do love his Course in Miracles. Like, I just want to stop for a moment. Like, why is it so darn hard for men and women? Right? We've talked about this, right? For women, we often are on these cycles, these patterns of right, abandon ourselves for others, put others' needs before ours. We have to perform for love. We have to be perfect. We can't be messy. We can't be too much. We can't be, I don't know, we have to be just right. Not realistic. The pressure is on men. They're so achievement oriented. They need to make money. They need to provide. They need to create safety, security, and consistency for families. But what happens? What's the cost to them? Like, we think abandonment for women. You don't think men are abandoning themselves? Men who feel like, I've done everything for this family and I can't get it right because my wife is still complaining. You don't spend enough time with me. You don't talk to me. You're not present. Not that they're not willing to admit that, but they're also tired. Who meets their needs beyond the meal and the house cleaning? Right? There's things that have been a little bit out of whack for both of our genders. We ask men to be strong, but where do they get to share their emotions, their fears, their worries? It's really tough. How? I love it. Be responsible and afraid till I be responsible and afraid I'll fail. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Right. It's a double bind for men because they're terrified. We know men commit suicide because they can't provide. That's the main reason men kill themselves. If they can't financially provide, what do we do when we have an economy like this? What do we do when we have particular races being identified right now, whether it's real or not, documented or undocumented? I don't want to get political. What happens for men if they can't provide? So I want to say it's hard for everybody. The wiring is a setup. It's often a setup, right? And why you start thinking about that future? Like, wow, can I actually have connection without performing? I gotta tell you, for a long time, I didn't believe that. I didn't believe, one, because of my weight. And then I accomplished the weight thing. And then I was like, well, I don't know if I make enough money. I've got to work harder. So I am not just a desirable looking partner, but now I can contribute to our dream home. I was always performing. So imagine that. Imagine not having to perform. Second guess. That's what I really want. So when we stop abandoning ourselves, right, we have another opportunity here to have something else. So anybody see themselves maybe utilizing the B.E.S.T model? Anybody? I'd like you to put a 1 in the chat. If you could say, well, there's something here. I could see myself utilizing this method to perhaps gain the life that I want. Al, Kelly, Shanti, Mindy, Jasea. Don't know how to pronounce that last person's name. Ieira. Ira. I don't know. If I got it wrong, again, I apologize. Right? But it is. Type yes if you're ready to stop performing in order to receive love. So really want you to hear that. You claim something different. That moment you typed yes. So far we have a few. You just did this. This is the rewiring. We have had many opportunities tonight to see the rewiring, right? I want to say the part though about rewiring is that we have to stay on it. We had an opportunity tonight. That's really important. But right, habits and change, most of you probably have heard this, 30 days to have a habit, right? To make it unconscious, where it's just part of our operating system, kind of like an iPhone. I think I have 17.0 or something like that. We have to do it for 120 days to make it unconscious, where it just is. I'm not sitting there and thinking, oh, wait, I'm doing the usual. I need to do this, right? I don't think anymore about my self-love in terms of my relationship with food. No, that's a lie. I do every day. Let me reword that. I don't question my self-worth every day, but I will always be conscious of my food choices. I recognize I have food addiction, right? It is my comfort in my zone of default. So I always get to be curious with that, but I don't question my self-worth any longer. It is not up for debate. My partner in my relationship don't get to claim that. I get to claim that and then enter, right? So that's really important. So really want to encourage everyone to be like, yeah, right? If I'm going to be that and I'm going to have habits, what am I going to have to create a habit for 120 days? I'm not sure. For me, I know I do better with community. We know statistically, we all do better, 70 to 80% better in achieving our goals when we have a witness and a community that holds us to it. Because most of us don't let other people down. We let ourselves down. But if I say, Hal, I'll be there, I'm not going to let Hal down, because my word, my integrity means something to me. And my trust and relationship to Hal means something to me. I'm going to honor it. I will tell you, I have lied and bullshitted to myself, though. We don't when we tend to have other people. And that is, I think, what's really important. When we go to these webinars, right? I am big. I'm a webinar person. I always have 2 to 3 books on my Kindle. I listen to podcasts. I'm a social media person in the sense that, yes, I have my own social media, I don't know, handles. But when I open up my social media, it feeds me. I don't want to know what somebody ate for dinner. I don't want to know someone's politics. I want material that is actually going to nurture me and what I'm up to. I have curated that intentionally. But those things alone won't do it. And I recognize this on our last, one of my last webinars was somebody said, if I could just find that one line, Claudine, that one line that will change my husband. And that's what I think we do. We go to that webinar, we go to the podcast, we go to social media, and I think it's wonderful. We learn. But then we're like, all right, now I need to do it. And when I don't get it right, I go judging myself. I go back to the pattern again. I didn't get it right. here I go again. And then the mental cruelty starts again. Because one of the things that any of us doing work needs to do is we need to integrate it. So even being here tonight, I'm thrilled you're here. I really am. And it's how do I integrate and stay with what I'm doing? And one of the ways we do that is in community. One of the ways we do that is by hiring coaches, therapists, friends, 12-step programs, right? Meetups, all of these things, because we don't do it one and done. We've been patterned for too long to make the right hand turn. This does not come as easy. Right? Tomorrow morning, we're going to go back to this again. So it's really the reason that I created a program. I have never done this before. It actually came from the women and men that have been on these classes that were like, love working with you. I love what you're up to, Claudine, but I'd rather be in a community with you versus working one-on-one, even some of my own clients. And that's where I decided, okay, then let me create a coaching program. I'm more than happy, right? It's a small program. This really is about achieving the very thing that we've been talking about, right? The idea of breaking the patterns or having a nervous system that is rooted in self-worth and self-trust, right? That you have the ability to express yourself without fears. I don't have to apologize. That was one of my patterns. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't even know what the hell I was apologizing for, right? Imagine not having to have that pressure. I have nothing to apologize. If I harm someone, I do. I'm accountable. That's not what I was doing. It was performative. I was shrinking. I'll stay small. Stay small. Right? The experience that we're seeking is for you to have safety, that you don't have to question it. Right? That when you say no, you really know you mean it. That takes strength and takes people supporting us, because we're used, and for women, I can only speak for, we are trained to deny our no's. It's part of who we are. So again, how do I go back to my intuition? Trust that place. Know when I'm feeling seen. Know when I'm not feeling seen. That my yeses will be honored. My no's will be honored. And I really want to just underline another part here, is because when all of these places of shrinking occur, one of the places for women, again, can't speak for men, is that we also lose our sexual drives. How many couples, how many women, men I coach and have therapy with that are not having sex, or they're having performative sex? I'm talking about erotica, desire. If I'm shrinking and denying myself, if I can't feel safe in my body, how am I going to have exploratory sex? How am I going to be verbal with my needs? So this isn't just about the soft mushy. This is about erotica. This is about my well-being. This is about my health. It's about my career, as Jaspa said earlier in our call. It was like, right, I want to keep shining. I'm motivated. I'm driven. I want to be seen in that way. I want someone to be like, yeah, you got it, woman. I'm behind you. Could you imagine that? That's right. That's what you have a right to. I created this program. Can you see this, Hal? Can you see my screen? Okay. I mean, of my landing page, right?
Yep.
Thank you, Hal.
So
Right. This is a real program. These are the things that you will get. I want you to know it's real. I only keep it with 8 people at a time, because I think it's real important that we go to, whoops, I have to now reshare everything, don't I? I apologize about that, people. I didn't realize what I just did there. I just got off my own webinar for a moment there. I did not realize I was doing that. So one of the things that we get to have is, thank you, let's bring that up, share. Sorry about that. Is the opportunity to have a community. And that's what I really think it's about, is having the community to support. Let's see who's ready. This is what I offer. I offer 12 weeks. We have a focus each group about what we're doing. It's not just what happens in the hour and a half in the live coaching. You have buddies assigned, meaning people in the program that continue the work, the audits, the mapping, the practices. It's a real important part of it, right? The worksheets and the scripts. We talk about some of these things. It's not like we all know what we're supposed to have or do, like communication. The idea of what do I do when we get in conflicts? What is my soft startup script? Right? The things that go, I feel hurt when you don't put your phone down during dinner so that I sense you're present to me. That's not usually how we express it. It's like, put your damn phone down. You're never there for me. You right? They're going to have two very different results. So there are scripts that will help support what is occurring, what you're learning. I'm sorry. There's the community. So we're in group chat. We have daily activities that we put into there, different ways that we'll regulate, get feedback from people if you want that. I find most people do. I'm also including some other ways of working with me. So I think it's real important that we have pre-coaching session to individually know what you want to work on, and then post the group for integration. There is something called a sabotage assessment. I give that to you for free with a debriefing. What that really is what's our self-limiting beliefs getting in the way? Yeah, we have our trauma reactions, we have our attachment style, then we have our stories or patterns that sabotage us. Yes, they were here to protect a part of us, but until we know them and greet them and have a way of interacting with them, right? So we work on some of that. I give you a future self meditation. I have a class about foreplay, right? Foreplay starts the minute the last orgasm occurred. So how do we communicate and keep that desire alive? And I always like to see people in person. So I throw in a ticket to come here at my retreat center. And if you're ever in South Carolina, you can come for a breathwork session and a sound healing session. Right. It's worth over $24,000. The value is $9,000. But I shared with you earlier, one of the things that I'm still working through is really where's my self-worth at? How do I even put a number on my value? The very thing that I have taken years to reclaim. So I have chosen. At this point, I'm going to just say, what is the cost for you? Not for me. Because the cost for you, if you don't do this work, I think most of you know, you're going to repeat trauma bonds, where I think somebody earlier said, I keep dating the same person with a different look. Right. That's what it is. That wound in me keeps attracting that wound in somebody else. My mother wound attracts a father wound in someone, vice versa. Right. So the wounds we're going to just keep doing this. Another year settling. I use that word intentionally. It's been a word that I've really worked through a lot. I did a lot of settling and tolerating. It's okay. It's not that bad. More of my time, my life force energy. That's the cost for you, right? The resentments, feeling stuck. Like some of us also feel like we're the problem. No one wants that. So I really want to encourage you to take action in the next 72 hours. If you're interested, I have a discounted price, but I'm not even sure of that discounted price. I'd rather talk to you and see what you need. Hal is putting up a link for free call. It's a free call, just like tonight. If this is something that you want to do, so only 8 people. I do have a waiting list, but I want people to get the help. Like I said, my promise is that you would have an experience of rewiring. And if I could help you untangle something in a few months, it took me years, then I'm living into my purpose, right? This is your community. Let it be your community, right? Don't wait. Get everything you can, right? I know people will say, I don't have the time. You're already using time. It's too expensive. We're paying big prices emotionally. I know I have way too big of prices. Appreciate the people who have loved me enough to have to tell me that. Right? I've done this before. I don't know that you've ever done this before. That's why you're here. Something about this course description tonight was like, Love Rewired be about. Hey, this is what you're going to get. You can go on my website. It's right there. Scan the QR code. You're going to get this all tomorrow in a replay. But this is your investment in you and your love life. I want to encourage, if anything, call. See what it's about. Right? For being here tonight, you will get 2 free gifts. One is our Facebook group. It's Conscious Love Collective. I'm sorry, Conscious Love Collective. Yeah, I was correct on that one. Right? Where every day I'm posting something. Hal actually posts there almost daily too, because he's a great writer. It's being in the conversation. It's having a place to pause and consider one of these patterns. How do I have it? How do I have love? How do I have me? And the other is, again, the free relationship pattern quiz. Take it now. It'll come in your replay. But I really want you to consider choosing yourself, right? In any way that's possible. So I want to, before we end, if there's anybody who has questions, anyone who wants to come off, silence and get some live coaching, ask a question, I'm here. Love it. I appreciate that all of you are here tonight. You get to be seen and heard. And if you don't want to, then consider booking a call with me. But if you're going to choose yourself and invest in you tonight, I do want to hear from you. Who is willing to put love in the chat to say, yes, I want that relationship where I don't have to second guess. I want where I don't have to perform for love. And I love myself enough to say, I'm a yes to this. And I'll actually call Claudine. I'll book a call with her. If anyone, love in the chat, so we can celebrate you right now. If you're choosing you, it doesn't need to be the coaching program, but it gets to be a change so that these are not the patterns you're in, that there is something that you're saying gets to change, because that's the future I want to have. I want to be seen, heard, and valued. I don't want to be questioned. I don't want to be fixed. I want to be loved and honored for who I am. Oh, Hal, thank you for putting love. I'm sorry. Whoa, I did it again. Okay. I have to recognize I keep going a little too fast for my fingers on this thing. Right. So is there anybody who we get to celebrate tonight and say, you're saying love because you're choosing you? Anyone else? Renee, Lindsay, Christine, Mindy. Thank you, Hal. Yes. Right. I really want to encourage you. So tomorrow you will receive an email. You could still consider it, set up a call, ask questions, see what it's about. Right? There are payment plans. Like I said, there's different costs. It's not about the money. It's about choosing. Because once we make a choice, I'm going to tell you this, money actually appears. When we say we're ready to get something, buy something, acquire something, I think time and time again, the law of attraction shows us when I'm serious, when I declare something, the universe will support me, but we've got to make a declaration. So I would love to celebrate any of you. I hope to have a phone call, connection, a follow-up, anything you'd like. I'm here. So know that. And again, I want to make one last offer. We have one. I choose love. You got it, Renee. Let's celebrate Renee. Yeah. Choose yourself. And I say, book the call so something gets to change now. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight, for your time, and saying, I want to rewire for love, because that's what your declaration is. And that's what brought you all here. And it's always my privilege and my honor to guide people through activities and self-awareness. They recognize there is a different choice out there than the one that they're living right now. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mindy. I look forward to talking to you soon too. Renee, I hope I get to talk to you, and any of you. I'd like to actually talk to all of you. So feel free to get on my calendar. I will also reach out. Like I said, you'll hear from me tomorrow. Lindsay, it's a pleasure also. Renee, thank you for your attention, Ira, and everyone this evening. Thank you, Hal, too, for being here and supporting. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.